Hi, my name is Lucas, and today, I'm going to learn English through a fun story about food. Lucas said to the camera. He smiled, feeling a little nervous but also excited. I'll be sharing my experience with you as I visit different food booths and practice my English. You'll see how simple it is to learn by using English in everyday situations. Don't forget to turn on the subtitles and repeat after me to improve your pronunciation. He added with a friendly smile. By the end of this video, you'll have learned some useful phrases to use when ordering food in English. It was a sunny morning, and Lucas couldn't contain his excitement. He was standing in front of the grand entrance of the International Food Festival, a yearly event that brought together delicious dishes from all around the world. The air was filled with the mouth-watering aromas of grilled meats, fresh pastries, and exotic spices. Lucas had been looking forward to this day for months. And now, it was finally here. The festival was held in a large park in the city, with colorful tents and food stalls lining the pathways. Each booth had its own unique decoration, representing the countries they were showcasing. Some were designed like little Italian pizzerias, others like Japanese sushi bars, and even Mexican taco stands. Everywhere he looked, there was something new and exciting to try. Wow! Lucas thought to himself. So many options. But as he walked further into the festival, he started to feel a bit overwhelmed. Where should he begin? There were so many choices: pizza, sushi, tacos, pasta, noodles, and desserts from all over the world. His stomach rumbled in anticipation. He was hungry, but he didn't want to waste his first meal. He wanted to make the best decision, so he paused, looking around carefully at all the booths. Some people were eating large slices of pizza. Others were holding sushi rolls. And a group of friends was sharing a large bowl of noodles. Lucas smiled to himself. I love food, he thought. But I also love speaking English. And this is a perfect opportunity to practice. As he walked, he began thinking about the phrases he might need to order food. Can I have one slice of pizza? How much is it? I'll take one of those. He repeated them in his mind, making sure he felt comfortable with the words. Today, he was not only going to enjoy the food but also improve his English. After a few moments of thinking, Lucas decided it was time to make his first choice. He spotted a booth with a big sign that read "Fresh Pizza." The smell of melted cheese and tomato sauce hit him immediately. His stomach growled again, and he knew what he had to do. He walked confidently toward the booth. Here we go, he said quietly to himself. Let's see how my English works in the real world. Lucas approached the pizza stand, where a friendly vendor greeted him with a smile. The booth had a big display of steaming hot pizzas with all kinds of toppings: pepperoni, mushrooms, and extra cheese. Lucas felt his mouth water as he looked at the delicious slices. Hi, Lucas said, trying to sound confident. Can I have one slice of pizza? The vendor, a cheerful man in his mid-30s, nodded enthusiastically. Sure. One slice coming right up. He reached for a large pizza with golden crust and started to cut a slice. Lucas watched the vendor work, feeling proud of himself for using English in a real-world situation. It wasn't as scary as he thought it would be, and the vendor was kind enough to make the process smooth. Thank you, Lucas said, as the vendor handed him the hot slice of pizza. The cheese stretched as Lucas took it in his hands. The smell was amazing. Sure thing, the vendor responded, and then added. How much is it? That'll be $5. Lucas blinked. He hadn't thought about the price yet. How much is it? He repeated in his head. That was a simple question he could use. He smiled at the vendor and asked, How much is it? The vendor smiled back. $5. Lucas took a deep breath, pulling out his wallet. He counted out the money and handed it to the vendor. Here you go. Thanks. Enjoy your slice, the vendor said, handing him a napkin. Thank you, Lucas replied, walking away from the booth with his pizza slice in hand. He felt great. The English he used was simple, but it was enough to communicate and get what he wanted. He felt more confident now, like he could handle anything the festival threw at him. But the day was young, and there were so many more food stalls to explore. As Lucas took a big bite of the warm pizza, he looked around, thinking about his next move. There was so much more to try, and he was ready for the challenge. After finishing his first slice of pizza, Lucas felt his stomach happily satisfied. But he wasn't ready to stop yet. There was so much more to explore at the festival. And he had heard the sushi booth was one of the best. He wiped his hands on the napkin and made his way toward a colorful stand decorated with bamboo and red lanterns. The sign above read, "Fresh sushi rolls, try them all." As he approached, the smell of vinegar and seaweed filled the air. Behind the counter, a woman with long black hair was arranging sushi rolls on a plate. She smiled warmly when she saw him. "Hi, how can I help you?" she asked in a friendly voice. Lucas took a moment to look at the menu. The sushi rolls were beautifully arranged, and there were so many options. There were rolls with tuna, salmon, avocado, and even some vegetarian ones. He had always wanted to try sushi, but he wasn't sure which one to pick first. "Can I try some sushi?" Lucas asked, remembering the phrase he had practiced. The woman nodded and replied, "Of course. Would you like a small or large portion?" Lucas thought for a moment. He wasn't sure if he wanted a large portion, especially after the pizza. But he also didn't want to leave without trying a good amount. "I'll have a small one, please," Lucas said confidently. The woman smiled and began preparing the small portion, carefully placing the sushi on a small plate. "That will be $10, she said as she handed the plate to Lucas. Lucas didn't hesitate this time. He reached for his wallet and handed her the money. "Here you go." "Thank you," the woman said as she took the money. "Enjoy your sushi." Lucas walked away from the booth, excited to try the sushi. He sat down on one of the benches nearby and looked at his plate. The sushi was carefully rolled, with bright green avocado slices and pink pieces of salmon. He dipped the sushi into a little soy sauce and took a bite. The flavors were incredible. The fish was fresh, and the combination with the avocado and rice was perfect. Lucas smiled to himself. "This is amazing," he thought. As he ate, he felt even more proud of himself. Not only was he trying new foods, but he was also practicing his English in real-life situations. He realized that, with just a little practice, speaking English was becoming easier and easier. But as delicious as the sushi was, there was still one more challenge ahead: the tacos. Lucas had heard that the taco booth was famous for its spicy flavor, and he was curious to see if he could handle it. Lucas finished his sushi, savoring the last bite, and stood up from the bench. His stomach was full, but he couldn't resist checking out the taco booth he had spotted earlier. The sign above read, "Authentic Tacos, try our spicy specials." The booth was lively, with a small crowd gathered around, enjoying their tacos and chatting in Spanish and English. The air smelled like sizzling meat, fresh cilantro, and a hint of chili. His curiosity grew as he approached the stand. The colorful display of tacos looked inviting, and the vendor, a man with a big smile and a wide-brimmed hat, greeted him immediately. "Hola! How can I help you today?" the vendor asked, his accent soft but clear. Lucas paused for a moment. He had learned a few basic phrases in Spanish before, but now he was focused on speaking in English. "How much are the tacos?" he asked, remembering the phrase he had used earlier at the pizza booth. The vendor pointed to the menu above, which listed prices and taco options. "They are $3 each," he said, speaking slowly and clearly to make sure Lucas understood. "$3 each?" Lucas repeated, double-checking. "I'll take 2 tacos, please," he said, pointing to the ones with grilled chicken. The vendor smiled and began preparing the tacos, wrapping them in soft tortillas and adding fresh toppings like salsa and cilantro. "Coming right up," he said as he handed Lucas the tacos. Lucas pulled out his wallet again. He had a few bills in his pocket, but the money was starting to run low. He counted the bills quickly in his hand. 2 tacos would cost him $6, but he only had a $10 bill. Lucas hesitated for a moment. "Can I pay with $10? The vendor nodded. "Sure, I'll give you $4 in change." Lucas handed over the $10 bill, and the vendor returned the $4. "Enjoy your tacos," the vendor said as Lucas grabbed the tacos and walked away, slightly embarrassed about the small mix-up with the money. Lucas smiled to himself. "It's okay," he thought. "Next time, I'll be more careful." He sat down again, excited to try the tacos. The tacos were slightly spicy, but the flavors were amazing. The grilled chicken was tender, and the salsa added the perfect amount of heat. As he took a bite, Lucas felt a sense of accomplishment. Not only was he enjoying the festival, but he was also improving his English skills. He thought about how useful the phrases were, like asking for the price and ordering exactly what he wanted. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough to get by. And there was still more to explore: sushi, pizza, tacos. But Lucas was ready for the next challenge. What other food would he try? And how would his English improve with each new experience? After finishing his tacos, Lucas leaned back on the bench and sighed contentedly. The food at the festival was incredible, and he was having such a great time. But his stomach wasn't quite done yet. There was still so much to try. And one booth in particular caught his eye. A stand decorated with vibrant yellow and green banners that read, "Taste the best of Thailand, spicy noodles." The smell of garlic, ginger, and chili wafted through the air, making Lucas's mouth water once again. Lucas had never tried authentic Thai food before, but he had heard it was full of bold flavors, and today seemed like the perfect day to step out of his comfort zone. He made his way toward the booth, where a young woman with a friendly smile stood behind the counter. "Hi! What's the dish you're serving today?" Lucas asked, feeling excited to try something new. The man smiled and replied, "It's spicy noodles with chicken. Would you like to try some?" "Spicy?" Lucas asked, raising an eyebrow. He wasn't sure if he could handle really spicy food, but the idea of trying something new was too tempting to resist. "I'll try it. I love spicy food." The man laughed. "Are you sure? It's really spicy," she warned. "I'm sure," Lucas said, a little unsure but excited. "I'll take it." He began to prepare the dish, tossing noodles in a large wok with sizzling chicken, vegetables, and an array of spices. The scent was incredible, and the heat from the wok made the air feel even warmer. While she was cooking, Lucas looked at the menu and saw the price listed. "How much is it?" he asked, remembering the simple question he had already used several times today. "It's $12, the woman replied, as she carefully plated the noodles and handed them to him with a smile. "Thanks," Lucas said, reaching for his wallet again. He had been careful with his money all day, but after the tacos, he realized he needed to keep track of how much he was spending. He handed the woman a $20 bill and received $8 in change. "Enjoy your noodles," she called out as Lucas took his plate and walked to a nearby bench to sit down. As he took the first bite, the heat hit him immediately. The noodles were spicy, really spicy, but the flavors were incredible. The chicken was tender, and the combination of garlic, chili, and lime created a tangy, rich taste that Lucas couldn't get enough of. His face turned slightly red as the spice kicked in, but he didn't mind. He was proud of himself for trying something so bold. "This is amazing," Lucas thought. He had never eaten anything like it before, and it made him realize just how much he loved trying new things, especially when he could do it in English. As he finished the last bite, Lucas felt proud of himself. Not only had he learned more about food and tried new flavors, but he had also used English in all these situations, ordering food, asking about prices, and interacting with the vendors. He was starting to feel more comfortable using the language, even when there were challenges. But now, as the day was coming to a close, there was one final challenge left. How would he handle the next part of the festival? The dessert booths. Lucas couldn't resist, and he decided to make his way toward the brightly colored stands filled with cakes, ice cream, and pastries. Lucas made his way through the crowded festival grounds, his stomach feeling pleasantly full from the mix of pizza, sushi, tacos, and spicy noodles. But there was one final stop he couldn't resist: the dessert booths. He could already smell the sweetness in the air, freshly baked cookies, cakes, and the inviting scent of vanilla and chocolate. As he walked up to the dessert stand, he saw a woman behind the counter arranging beautiful cakes and cupcakes. The stand had colorful decorations, with sparkles and twinkling lights that made it look like a dream. Above the booth, a sign read, "Sweet treats from around the world, cupcakes, cakes, and more." The woman behind the counter smiled at Lucas as he approached. "Hello. What can I get for you today?" Lucas smiled back. He was a little full, but the sweet treats were too tempting to ignore. "What kind of desserts do you have?" he asked. The woman pointed to a large display. "We have chocolate cupcakes, vanilla cakes, fruit tarts, and special eclairs from France." Lucas's eyes widened. He had heard of eclairs before but never actually tried one. "I'll have an eclair," he said, feeling adventurous. The woman quickly grabbed one from the display and placed it on a small plate. The eclair was perfectly shaped, with a glossy layer of chocolate on top and cream filling visible from the side. It looked perfect. "That'll be $5, she said, smiling warmly. Lucas looked into his wallet, a little surprised that he hadn't spent more today. $5 for the eclair?" he repeated, double-checking the price. "Yes, $5, the woman confirmed, nodding. "I'll take it," Lucas said, pulling out the money. He handed her a $5 bill and received the delicious eclair in return. "Enjoy," the woman said as Lucas walked away, the sweet treat in his hand. He found a quiet spot under a tree and sat down, eagerly unwrapping the eclair. It was soft and airy, and the chocolate on top melted perfectly in his mouth. The cream filling was rich and smooth, and the combination of flavors was heavenly. As he savored each bite, Lucas reflected on how much he had learned throughout the day. Not just about food, but also about himself and his ability to communicate in English. He had started the day feeling unsure about his language skills, but now, after ordering food, asking questions, and interacting with vendors, he felt much more confident. He smiled to himself as he finished the eclair, wiping his hands with a napkin. The festival was coming to an end, but the experience had left him with a sense of accomplishment. Not only had he enjoyed a variety of delicious foods, but he had also practiced his English in real situations, something that would stick with him for a long time. As the sun began to set and the festival started to wind down, Lucas stood up, ready to leave. He had one final thought as he walked towards the exit. "Next time, I'll try even more new things, and use even more English." With that, he left the festival, excited for his next adventure and the opportunity to keep learning. As Lucas walked toward the exit of the festival, he felt a sense of satisfaction. The sun was beginning to set, casting a golden glow over the park. The music from the festival speakers slowly faded as the crowd started to thin out. He could hear the distant laughter of people still enjoying their food, but Lucas had finished his own feast. He took a deep breath, feeling both full and proud. Today had been a day full of new experiences, delicious food, fun challenges, and, most importantly, practicing his English. Not bad at all, Lucas thought, smiling to himself. I've learned so much. Earlier in the day, Lucas had felt nervous about using his English in public. But with each food booth he visited, each vendor he spoke to, his confidence grew. He'd used basic phrases to ask for prices, order food, and even pay for his meals. It wasn't perfect English, but it was enough to communicate and enjoy the experience. I've made a lot of progress, Lucas thought as he glanced back at the festival. I didn't just try new foods, I tried using English in real life, and it worked. The more I practiced, the easier it became. Lucas took one last look at the booths that were starting to pack up. He had made memories today, ones that went beyond just tasting new dishes. He'd made the effort to step out of his comfort zone, both with food and language. He knew he still had a long way to go in his English journey, but today had given him the confidence that he was on the right path. He had already learned so much by simply asking questions, making mistakes, and practicing over and over again. I can do this, he thought as he walked away from the festival. I'll keep practicing. The next time I'm in a new place, I'll feel even more confident speaking English. With a renewed sense of determination, Lucas looked forward to the next adventure, whether it was trying new foods, learning new phrases, or simply finding new ways to practice his English.